traffic wardens, and then turned his back on the bike and crossed the road towards the boutique. He stepped to one side to let a trio of giggling schoolgirls leave the shop, and then came in. As he passed the girl, he looked at her, up and down, and she turned to watch him go, his leathers squeaking with every step. The rider was empty-handed, so the girl assumed he was there to collect something, but he continued to move through the shoppers, past the pay counter, and then he pushed open the doors at the other side of the shop and went out into the street. The girl frowned and turned back to the window. The bike's lights were still flashing. Her frown deepened, and at that moment, the 25 pounds of Semtex explosive in the back carrier box exploded in a flash of blinding white light, blowing in the window and striking her with thousands of glass daggers. At the last moment, she tried to turn towards her mother to shield her, but they died together in the hail of glass. The Press Association news desk received the call as the first ambulance arrived at the department store, blue light flashing and siren whining. The reporter who took the call later told the police that the voice was Irish and had given a code word that the police identified as genuine. The tip-off was not a hoax. The voice was that of a man. He couldn't tell if he was young or old, and the caller said that a bomb had just gone off in Knightsbridge and that the Provisional Irish Republican Army claimed responsibility for it. The reporter hadn't recorded the call. He was new on the job, and no one had told him that he was supposed to. The line went dead, and he took his notebook over to the news editor, who told him to check with the police that there had indeed been an explosion, and 3 minutes later, the story went out over the wires as a flash. IRA bomb explodes outside London store. At least 5 dead. By the time it appeared on the screen of the news editor of the Sunday World, he'd already had a phone call from a member of the public keen to earn a tip-off fee. He'd assigned 2 reporters to start phoning the police and their Sinn Féin contacts, and was trying to track down their Belfast stringers. It was 5:30 p.m., the crossing over point where the day shift began to drift off to the pub and the night reporters were arriving. The picture desk had sent 2 freelancers and a staffer to the scene, but Knightsbridge was at least half an hour's drive away from the paper's Docklands offices. More information was trickling over the wires on PA and Reuters, and the death toll kept climbing with each snatch of copy. "Jesus, now they're saying 12 dead," said John Simpson, the news editor. Behind him stood the chief sub and the editor, reading over his shoulder. "Splash," said the chief sub, knowing the answer would be yes. The front page lead at the afternoon conference had been a 60s pop star's drug problem. "We'll have to pull our fingers out if we're going to make the first edition," said the editor. "We'll take the whole of page 1, 2 and 3. Let me see the pics first. Hold the MP story until next week. And hack back the food safety feature. Hang on. No. Drop it all together. And we'll save the splash until next week as well. It's exclusive." The chief sub scurried back to his terminal to redraw his page plans, shouting to the picture editor to send over everything he had. "You've got 2 hours until the first edition, John. Get everybody on it." The editor wandered over to the picture desk while Simpson picked up the phone. "Where's Woody?" Simpson yelled at his deputy, who was busy scrolling through the PA wire. "Where'd you think?" he shouted back, raising his eyebrows. "Drunken pig," said Simpson, and rang the King's Head, a short stagger away from the office. As the phone trilled behind the bar, Ian Wood was downing his second double bells and trying to look down the front of the barmaid's blouse. She saw what he was up to and flicked her towel at him and laughed. "Don't let Sandy catch you doing that," she scolded, and he grinned. "Your husband's too good a governor to go slapping the customers around," he said, finishing his whiskey. "Another," she said, as she picked up the phone. She listened, and then mouthed silently, "Are you in?" "Who's asking?" he mouthed back. "The office," she replied, and he realised they looked like a couple of goldfish gasping for breath. He nodded and took the phone off her. She picked his glass up and refilled it. "Woody, you on for a double shift?" asked Simpson. Woody looked at the double measure of whiskey in his glass and licked his lips, but hesitated for only a second before he told Simpson he'd do it. Woody was a freelance, and he needed the money. If he'd been staff, he'd have told the news editor where to get off, but it had been a long time since anyone had given Ian Wood a staff job. "What's up?" he asked. "IRA bomb, big one, in Knightsbridge." "Christ, how many dead?" "They're saying 12 now. No, make that 13, but they're still counting. Get out there and get the colour. Link up with the monkeys while you're there. They need their captions written." Woody heard Simpson call out for the names of the photographers. "Dave Wilkins is the staffer. Find him," he said. "I'm on my way," said Woody, and hung up. He took the glass off the bar and swallowed it down in one. "You off, Woody?" said the barmaid, surprised. "Duty calls, darling."